Hi everybody, and welcome to part 2 of our Session 1 video lecture. I wanted to pick up right where we left off here, taking a look at different components of leadership or areas of focus, and technical style of leadership versus adaptive change and adaptive leadership. So you can see that we're always trying to, in a technical process, restore order, provide definitions, we're maintaining norms. It's a very, more on the rigid side, very technical for this component. And then when we're looking at adaptive and really a change perspective, something that's proactive, dynamic, we're looking at key questions. We're being honest about threats in the situation, exposing the conflicts, not being afraid of it. And then challenging the norms, allowing for change. And that's the flexibility that comes in with adaptive change and adaptive leadership. Think about leadership as an activity that can be done whether or not you're in a position of formal authority. It's not defined by your personality, whether you have an influential position on paper. None of these things have to define your opportunity for leadership. Leadership is an activity, and it's something that you can elect to put into action in your work, and something that you can facilitate and develop a stronger culture for adaptive leadership and change. Another important component to recognize is the process of a leader, quote unquote, losing heart. We've all observed this, maybe within ourselves, the idea of burnout. We've definitely seen it probably in others as well. So recognize that these are the qualities that a leader might come in with. These are what they might turn into when challenges are faced over a period of time and, years and years. Looking at, dressing these up as some other terms here. So for instance, we might start out with innocence, imagination, ambition, and when we encounter many challenges, this might turn into cynicism. And we might identify it or, title it ourselves as realism. I'm just being realistic. This is how it is, when in reality, we've become cynical and we've lost our innocence, imagination, our ambition. This is something that can occur. And you'll see as well with curiosity and doubt, and how arrogance could be developed, or certainty about, our own mastery and awareness. Definitely compassion, potentially turning into callousness, and all of these really are components of burnout, which we then might blame on, I've just got thick skin from all of these years of experience. So it's very important to be aware of this process and the things that can occur in order to prevent it from happening and to recognize it in ourselves as well as in others. So the PowerPoint offers several other case study examples, and I'll allow you to research these further by yourselves. That'll be the best way, but just as a brief overview, we've got Southern Poverty Law Center, and Morris Dees was a major player in the foundation, beginning this law center. And this law center is a legal advocacy organization. It is a nonprofit working against white supremacy and for civil rights. So definitely teaching tolerance, as the slide says, looking for justice. This is an organization that has been started. So we can really think about adaptive change and leadership, and Morris Dees recognizing a problem and then developing an organization that addresses this problem. Here's an example of pace of change, really thinking about not implementing things too quickly, avoiding the leaps of abstraction or jumping to conclusions from some data. So talking about these healthcare reforms in the 90s, thinking about people who were, feeling that this pace was going too quickly. The public was not being persuaded. So even though people wanted improvement in their healthcare, there were some issues or some holes in the implementation, according to this slide. So you can research that further and consider the pros and cons in that particular situation. Another important example here on this slide, we're thinking about pace of change being too fast in this contract with America. So you can consider that people became frightened rather than inspired. This was, definitely looking at changes that were being put into place too quickly, and anxiety was developing. and the situation did not end well. Benefit was not coming from it, as we can see here at the bottom. So consider all of these examples. We're thinking about as well the Navajo Nation and UNC. And if you take a look at our, this actually will be in an upcoming session, but this explains to us 1992, the Navajo Nation Teacher Education Consortium founded. And this was a multi-million-dollar grant to help prepare teachers to work with students, those teachers who were Navajo, to work with students who were Navajo. So recognizing that there was a major shortage there, and they definitely wanted to, develop those teachers and prepare them so that they could support students in culture, language, philosophy, and, really strengthening that culture and continuing to support it with upcoming generations. So University of Northern Colorado had the opportunity. We were invited to submit proposals and join the effort. So there's more information about this process within the PowerPoint, as well as in upcoming sessions. But we can see that there were some issues that occurred in this process. You can see technical problems, those more logical, down-to-earth issues that were encountered, major differences, cultural differences, linguistic differences, partnerships were not in place yet. Other more adaptive challenges, looking from that perspective, thinking about, the merging of two cultures, perhaps these tools, working through these challenges, and leadership but no authority. That was something that was presenting itself as a challenge, was how to provide leadership without a specific authoritative role, and how that might play out. So the PowerPoint provides an article to give you some more background about this process and how things worked out. So as you go through the PowerPoint, you'll be able to see a great deal of supplemental information here about the project. And this is something that you can research as well in upcoming sessions, as I mentioned. But it's really pretty interesting to consider this process, and you can see several universities had the opportunity to submit application to get involved. And then finally, we want to look at the National Association of State Directors of Special Education. That's a long acronym. The Balanced System of Accountability. So we're always thinking about accountability needing to meet systemic standards. So that might be district, that might be state, but we all can think about those standards we're trying to meet within buildings and schools, districts, really across educational settings. We're thinking about the inputs and the processes. So how are we doing it? What are we adding? Where is our funding going? And what are students learning? What do we want them to learn? And what are they truly taking away? So a big part of leadership is also maintaining that accountability and being able to continue to facilitate that, and working with tension, with all of these three key players or components. So we want to consider that as we're doing this educational leadership, both in a classroom setting, as well as a building setting, and then ultimately on the district and state and federal levels as well. So that concludes our PowerPoint for the session 1. I hope that this information was helpful to talk through some of these concepts and provide some clarification. Please reach out to me via email, or feel free to contact via phone as well if you have any questions. And I'm looking forward to continuing to work through this course with you.